Devastating death toll sparking more rage from demonstrators around the world. Activists say at least 2,000 people have been killed for protesting in Iran. Good afternoon. This is CTV News at 5. I'm Stefan. Some Ottawa residents with relatives in Iran are finally receiving phone calls after being consumed with worry. Activists are reporting a sharp spike in the death toll that came from cracking down on Iranian protesters. But with the internet still down and word that at least 2,000 people have been killed, the protests have now sparked demonstrations around the world, including here in Canada's capital. CTV's Caitlin Wilson joins us live with more. Caitlin.
Yes, Stefan, some phone services now being restored in Iran after authorities cut communications during days of unrest. But with internet and text access still restricted, families here say they're desperate for any information about loved ones back home, as many call on the U.S. government to step in. Across Canada, including in the nation's capital, many gathered in solidarity outside the U.S. Embassy, calling for the U.S. administration to take action. What began as protests over Iran's struggling economy has morphed into a massive nationwide movement against the Iranian regime. President Donald Trump writing on Truth Social, Iranian patriots keep protesting, take over your institutions, save the names of the killers and abusers, they will pay a big price. He added, I have canceled all meetings with Iranian officials, but provided no details on what action, if any, would follow. And with internet and phone service cut during the height of the protests, many say they've had no way to reach their loved ones as security forces moved in. The Canadian press is reporting Iran's embassy in Ottawa has been defaced, saying the national emblem has been removed from above the doorway. The embassy has been closed since 2012. Stefan?
CTV's Caitlin Wilson reporting live for us. Thank you for this, Caitlin. Declining service and unreliable data, those are the fears expressed by union leaders today after news broke that StatsCan is cutting 850 jobs over the next 2 years. This as workers are left to wonder what's next for them. CTV's Austin Lee is here with more. Austin.
Yes, Stefan, the people that I spoke with today outside of the Stats Canada building, they tell me that they weren't really surprised to hear about these plans for job cuts, but now they're anxiously waiting to see whether their roles will be impacted. Of the 850 cuts coming over the next 2 years, 100 are effective immediately. A spokesperson for the agency says they are committed to their, quote, mission-critical programs, such as key economic indicators, and those services will not be impacted by these job reductions. However, union leaders say data from StatsCan goes beyond those economic indicators.
They might be concentrating on core data, but there's so many things that Statistics Canada does that Canadians don't see. That's very key to our future. You know, when they have less people to be able to examine that data, to secure that data, it frightens me that, you know, how reliable is that data going to be?
Now, another point of frustration for some union leaders is what they call a lack of communication from the government. The Public Service Alliance of Canada telling CTV News that they still have yet to hear from the government when it comes to what kinds of programs and what services will be impacted. And they say that lack of communication is leaving workers and Canadians in the dark. Stefan.
CTV's Austin Lee reporting live for us. Thank you, Austin. We are getting a clearer picture today on how the aging fleet at OC Transpo is impacting bus cancellations. Now, one councillor is calling for more transparency around how many buses are on the roads at any given time. CTV's Leah LaRocque is here with the latest on this. Leah.
Well, Stefan, from breaking down to stuck in the mechanic shop to weather delays, OC Transpo confirming hundreds of buses aren't showing up when they need to. And that continues to leave people late for work, school, or appointments. They say there just aren't enough buses and they are scrambling to find more. OC Transpo says peak periods are the biggest challenge. But last week, out of the roughly 7,500 daily trips, at least 6 or 7% were canceled. That's an average of about 500 undelivered trips a day. But the worst day was Monday, January 5th. There were between 700 and 800 trips that were canceled. One councillor wants a new counter on the city's public dashboard that shows how many buses are actually in service.
It's death by 1,000 cuts. One catches fire, one breaks down. Suddenly you're losing all those numbers where we don't have the opportunity for new buses yet. I want that available to the public and to councillors on a monthly basis as well, just like we do with the electric buses.
OC Transpo says it will be providing weekly updates to council, including when more e-buses will be added to the fleet. Now, we did speak to the union who represents bus operators, and they say that mechanics are working overtime. And there's frontline operators, Stefan, who are frustrated because there just isn't a bus there for them to drive.
All right, thank you for this update, Leah. Drivers faced major traffic headaches all day long on a stretch of Baseline Road because of a broken water main. The city says the break happened early this morning near the experimental farm in the eastbound lanes of Baseline Road, leading to it being closed between Fisher Avenue and Lexington Street. It reopened to traffic this afternoon. City crews spent much of the day working to repair the broken water main. They'll continue working on it tomorrow. A well-known live music venue in Ottawa's West End is closing its doors after more than 15 years. The Brass Monkey on Greenbank shut down last week. Owner Scott Ruffo says rising costs and ongoing economic pressures made it hard to keep the business going. He also says things never returned to pre-COVID levels despite a restructuring last year. The venue, which won Live Music Venue of the Year at the 2024 Capital Music Awards, will see some upcoming shows moved to the Rainbow Bistro here in the market.
Financial times have just come around that way. It's economically was not responsible for us to be able to continue on. Unfortunately, the crowds just aren't out as they used to be anymore. People don't have the money to spend anymore.
The owner says this serves as a wake-up call for the city of Ottawa, and he hopes the nightmare can do more to get people into venues like his. A surge in copper theft is impacting multiple communities in our region as communication lines are cut, knocking out phone and internet. In the Plateau community of Gatineau, Bell, which owns Bell Media and this station, says vandals have targeted its infrastructure 4 times in recent weeks, the most recent this past weekend after more than 350 meters of cable were stolen, affecting around 6,000 customers. Meanwhile, police in Eastern Ontario also investigating a similar crime.
You could have a great impact on someone's, I think I wouldn't be exaggerating even to say life.
We're calling on anyone who lives near a facility that may have a lot of copper wire stored or some kind of communication facility to be an extra set of eyes. And if you see something suspicious, by all means, call and report.
Over the past year, the price of copper has surged more than 30%. Bell says all service has been restored. Coming up on CTV News at 5, a city councillor raising concerns over plans to build a new drive-thru on Merivale Road. And our Jackie Pears is live at the Canadian Tire Centre for us tonight. Jackie.
Well, thanks so much, Stefan. Things are nice and dry in here, but on the way here down to the CTC, we saw some flurries moving through. It's a bit of a pause right now, but we are anticipating more to move through, mix in with the rain as well. The mild temperatures continuing, but again, that was just the first round of flurries. Right now across the region, temperatures sitting between 1 and 3 degrees, really for most of eastern Ontario. Mild temperatures will remain as we get into the overnight hours. 2 degrees is our overnight low with the rain mixed in with snow. Still some strong wind gusts for the late hours of our evening. And then tomorrow we're getting to a daytime high of 2 degrees. Flurries are on the way, but we are anticipating some heavy snowfall moving through our Wednesday evening. We will have these details and much more for you, Stefan, in just a bit.
Thank you, Jackie. Here's what you need to know. Visitors have a few more days to take in the brilliant world of live butterflies at the Canadian Museum of Nature. The popular Butterflies in Flight exhibit runs until January 18th, and advance tickets are required. Taking a live check on traffic right now, the 417 eastbound, we're seeing slow between Bronson and Walkley. Westbound lanes slow going between O'Connor and Pinecrest, and 174 is slow in the eastbound lanes between the Split and Montreal Road. And there is a collision that you need to know about near Blair that could also be impacting traffic. The 416 is slow around Baseline. You're watching CTV News at 5.
You're watching CTV News at 5 with Stefan Keys.
Welcome back to CTV News at 5. A West End City Councillor is pushing back on a plan to redevelop a gas station on Merivale Road to include a restaurant drive-thru. Councillor Lane Johnson says she is concerned it could lead to increased traffic and make things more dangerous for pedestrians, as well as create more noise and pollution. Today's radio question of the day is asking, should the city tighten restrictions on drive-thrus?
I think that this city really needs to take their nose and stick it somewhere else. They want to build a drive-thru on Maryville Road, which is probably one of the most congested roads in Ottawa. I would suggest they just let it happen. Who are they to decide where businesses now start being put?
Kirsty Cameron is here with more, and that listener is essentially saying, just butt out of it.
Yeah, and you know what? The city is so far, because actually this doesn't have to go to any debate or any kind of vote at city council or even at committee. Here's how it works. Unless you're in downtown Ottawa, right, and unless the zoning bylaw specifies otherwise, then you're good to go. So this is already green lit. They don't have to wait. They don't have any hurdles to overcome this to actually make this a drive-through. But the city councillor is speaking out on behalf of her constituents, as she should, by the way. That's why she was elected. And she's saying, look at the traffic flow. Look at this intersection. It's a busy one. It is Maryville and Viewmount. We're looking at pictures right now of the gas station. So yeah, it's very car-centric, but imagine now it turns into a Tim Hortons or a Starbucks or any sort of coffee joint where people are lined up and they're idling to get their morning cup of joe. And now all of a sudden, depending on the design of the drive-through, you've lost a live lane of traffic. It could be pretty disruptive. And so I think what she's saying, and what she said to me on the show today, is not ban drive-thrus in general, but let's look on a case-by-case basis, and let's maybe tighten restrictions if it's near a busy intersection to make sure that it's actually logical.
Have you heard from people in that area if they think it's like a premature concern? Because I know that strip, and essentially it is drive-through central, so they're saying we don't need another one.
Yeah, so it's interesting. I mean, you pointed it out. There's like an A&W, a McDonald's, there's a Costco. A lot of people are in their cars.
There's a Timmy's at Maryville and Meadowlands.
Right, so I mean, certainly it's not like it's a very scenic area to walk. You're not going on like a nature trail out there. But I heard from a lot of people that live nearby that said it is a crazy busy intersection, and they don't want anything else that could add to that congestion.
All right.
Plus, they don't think they need another fast food joint or whatever it is. We don't know yet.
We don't know what's coming there yet, though.
That's a surprise.
Ooh, we'll wait and see. Thank you, Christy. You can join the conversation and leave a comment through the Talkback feature on the iHeartRadio app. You can listen live to Christy Cameron on News Talk 580 CFRA weekdays from 2 to 6. And now watch Christy's segments anytime on YouTube. Subscribe to the News Talk 580 CFRA page.
3, 2, 1.
Coming up on CTV News at 5, a special $1 million gift going towards some much-needed upgrades to the kitchen area at Roger Nielsen's Children's Hospice. Now for another live check on traffic. We're seeing it slow going along the Queensway this hour. Several stretches are being impacted. Woodruff, Pinecrest, Carling, Parkdale, bumper to bumper in both directions at O'Connor along the 417. We'll be right back. Coming up later tonight on CTV, Best Medicine starts at 7, followed by Will Trent at 8. You can watch High Potential at 9, and then The Rookie at 10. Now for another check on the weather forecast, let's go back to Jackie Paris, who is live at the Canadian Tire Centre for us. Jackie.
That's right, Stefan. Tonight, the Sens take on the Canucks, and it's also a special night where it's all about supporting mental health initiatives here in Ottawa. So we'll be seeing that in the 6 o'clock hour. Heading down to the Sens game, puck drop is at 7 o'clock, but the roads, it was a little bit dicey with the flurries moving through. It's slow moving. However, it has cleared, but it is a bit of a break. Here's a live look through our Centennial Glass Sky Cam showcasing Parliament Hill and Chateau Laurier. Current temperature 1 degree, so still mild conditions right now, and I did mention we saw a bout of flurries moving through. It's not the end of that. We are anticipating more periods of snow and the risk of freezing drizzle moving through as well. So temperatures hovering around the 1 to 2 degree mark, and that will carry us into tomorrow morning, where the wet weather or the mixed precipitation is going to continue. There is a chance of the flurries throughout the day, and especially in the afternoon, where we will be seeing temperatures start to drop immediately, because it is going to be a cold one for our Wednesday. And not only this, we are anticipating more snow Wednesday overnight into Thursday. But for now, temperatures across the Seaway also remain mild, 3 degrees for not just the overnight, but for the daytime high. And it's pretty similar for the valley. 1 degree, periods of snow moving in for the overnight hours, about 2 to 5 centimeters, and flurries will continue into our Wednesday. So here's a closer look at the anticipated snow moving through eastern Ontario. 7 p.m. for Wednesday. Mainly clear, but it's going to start to come in, especially into the overnight hours and focusing really along the Seaway. So Cornwall, Brockville, Kingston anticipate some heavy snow moving through, and this will really carry on throughout the rest of the day and carry us into our Friday as well. So buckle up, and you might be digging yourself out by Thursday. Wednesday, daytime high 3 degrees. We talked about those temperatures really coming down. So minus 13 is the overnight low. We're only getting to a daytime high about minus 13 for Thursday. And then the overnight low is going to be minus 20. So we're in for a couple of chilly days after what we've had, Stefan, some mild temperatures. So stay warm. Bring out those warmer coats as well, because you'll definitely want to bundle up. Are you ready to tackle your home projects? Well, find hundreds of trusted experts at the Ottawa Home and Remodeling Show on from January 29th to February 1st at the EY Centre. We have your chance to win big. All you have to do is enter for your chance to win 4 tickets to the show. Plus, 1 lucky viewer will win the grand prize. A package that includes $2,500 in gift cards, 4 tickets to the Ottawa Home and Remodeling Show, and a meet and greet with Sarah Richardson. Head over to ctvottawa.ca to enter now. Wishing you the best of luck. So, Stefan, I'm going to give you some good news. While we will have 2 days of a little bit of a deep freeze, it will be brief, because then we'll get back to seasonal closer to the freezing mark to wrap up the weekend as well as the start of early next week.
Thank you for that, Jackie. I needed some good news today. Here's a look at some of the stories you're checking out right now on CTV News Ottawa.ca. If you go to our homepage, and if you've been in Ottawa for a few years, then you may have recalled this story. An Ottawa City Councillor was charged with impaired driving. That case is about to go before the courts. It happened about 18 months ago. It involves Councillor Matt Luloff, who is representing a ward in the East End. And so he was charged on July 6th of 2024. His lawyer tried to have those charges stayed because of delays in the court proceedings, but that case is going ahead. Details on our website. Coming up on CTV News at 5, McDonald's Canada announces it's freezing the price of a popular menu item for at least a year and dropping prices on some other popular options as well. Here's what else you need to know. Visitors to the Canadian War Museum have until this Sunday, January 18th, to take in the exhibition, Last Voices of the Second World War. It features the unforgettable stories and powerful first-person testimonies of Second World War. You can visit the museum's website for tickets. If you need gas this evening, one of today's cheapest gas prices can be found at the Ultramar station on Eagleston in Canada. Regular gas there tonight is going for 113.9 cents a litre.
Get the latest live local breaking news. Sign up now for our morning and evening CTV News Ottawa newsletter. The best local content from CTV News, Your Morning Ottawa, and News Talk 580 CFRA. Get it all in one place. Sign up now at ctvnewsottawa.ca. The CTV News Ottawa newsletter is brought to you in part by CAA Business.
Here's a live look through our Centennial Glass Sky Cam. It is 1 degree outside. And time now for a look ahead to CTV News at 6. Here's Patricia Bull.
Thanks, Steph. Here's what we're working on for 6 o'clock.
The dictators in Tehran, they must go, and we want a new government. We want democracy and freedom.
A demonstration here in the capital today as activists say there's been a sharp spike in the death toll in Iran from a violent crackdown on protests there. Families here say they are desperate for information on loved ones overseas.
It's death by 1,000 cuts. One catches fire, one breaks down. Suddenly you're losing all those numbers where we don't have the opportunity for new buses yet.
Frustration for transit users as hundreds of OC Transpo buses are not showing up when they are supposed to. We're getting a clearer sense on how the aging bus fleet is impacting service.
We have really high volumes through this area, so the more congestion happens around this intersection, the more frustrated people get.
Well, a new restaurant and drive-thru has been proposed as an addition to a convenience store and gas station on Merivale Road. The area councillor there has concerns that could lead to backups on an already very congested Merivale Road. All of that and more is coming up tonight on CTV News at 6. That's right after the early edition of CTV National News with Sandy Ronaldo at 5:30. Steph.
Thanks, Patricia. Now the final 5 other stories we're following today. A $1 million gift from the Senators Community Foundation is going toward updating the kitchen at Roger Nielsen Children's Hospice.
So the donation was for $1 million. It'll be used to update our kitchen to make it more accessible, modernize it. We're 20 years old this year, and so it needs a facelift. And then they provide ongoing support for all of our programs and services with the rest of that funding.
Updates include modifying countertops and oven height to accommodate for wheelchairs. The space now officially named and opened as the Senators Foundation Kitchen. City bylaw officers were busy this weekend issuing nearly 7,000 parking tickets for violating the Sunday parking ban. The ban was issued between 10 in the morning until 7 at night on Sunday, so city crews could clear the 10 centimeters of snow that fell Saturday night and Sunday morning. Bylaw issued 6,900 tickets during the ban. That is more than $720,000 in fines. McDonald's Canada is dropping the price of its McValue meals and freezing the price of a small coffee for at least a year. A McValue meal will now cost just $5 and the price of a small coffee will remain at $1. The promise comes as public perception around dining out has shifted in recent years, with more people than ever being cost conscious and willing to go to restaurants that will provide them the best value. Other fast food industry players like Tim Hortons and Wendy's have similar deals. Some pretty shocking news from Canadian transportation authorities. They logged more than 100 reports of disruptive air passengers last year. The incidents include passengers accused of inappropriate touching, instigating fights, uttering threats, sneaking onto flights. These passengers caused a number of flights to be delayed, diverted, or turned back to the gate, with some of them even added to a no-fly list. Autism advocates are celebrating the release of the first ever Barbie on the Spectrum. The new doll is part of Mattel's Fashionistas collection, which includes dolls with a diverse range of skin tones, hair textures, body types, and health conditions, including type 1 diabetes, Down syndrome, and blindness. The new Barbie doll has a gaze that shifts slightly to the side, and she wears pink noise-canceling headphones to reduce sensory overload. That is CTV News at 5. I'm Stefan Keys. Be sure to join Patricia Bull for CTV News at 6. The early edition of CTV National starts now.